396 participants, and it's growing. Well, good afternoon to one and all present here in the orientation program of the undergraduate students of the Royal Global University 2020. It is indeed a special honor to have amongst us a very eminent guest speaker for this session, Dr. Sanjuta Parashar, IPS. And I'm also honored to have other senior academic stalwarts gracing the session. My name is Indrajit Datta. I'm an assistant professor in the Royal School of Travel and Tourism Management. I'll be the moderator for this session. Before we begin the session, I would just like to pass this information that the Honorable Vice Chancellor sir was scheduled to be here with us, but I think he is in an international webinar. He is the speaker and it got delayed by half an hour. So he has promised us that he'll be joining us at about 2:30. So let's start the session. To begin this session, I would like to humbly call upon Dr. Anuradha Devi, Professor and Dean of Royal School of Applied and Pure Science, to give a welcome address. Ma'am, over to you. Ma'am, I think you need to unmute. Your voice is not.
Is it? Yeah.
Yes,
is it all right now? Okay.
Yes.
Good afternoon to one and all present in this second session of the second day of orientation program. Orientation program for the undergraduate student. Honorable eminent speaker of the day, Miss Sanjukta Parashar, a coveted officer in the Indian Police Service, and we are very happy to have you here, ma'am. And our esteemed speaker, you are the esteemed speaker for this session. All the senior professors who are present in this session, my dear colleagues, and most importantly, all the newcomers, newly joined students of undergraduate level at different schools and different departments of Royal Global University. First of all, I'd like to welcome all of you to our university and this orientation day program, second day of the orientation day program. Dear students, I'd like to congratulate you, all the students who have joined recently, to congratulate you to our university in the different departments and different schools of our university. And you have been, this is your second day of orientation program, you have been listening to the various speakers and you have been oriented for different, culture and environment of our university from yesterday and today also in the morning session. So I don't need to reiterate anything new. You will be reoriented for another, 20 or 15 odd days. So I will be learning a lot of things. In this today, I just want to mention things just like welcoming you, and I just from my side, I like to tell you one only thing, because you have been enrolled as a Royalite in this university. So I like to request you, and please start loving your department, whichever department you have been joined, whichever school you have been joining, and also your university. This is a very important phase of your life. You have entered the second phase of your life. So this, and also the most important phase of your life, because during this phase of life, you will be, you will be deciding your future how you are going to grow yourself as a human being, as a, what type of career you are going to choose, because this is the minimum criteria you are going to get for this, graduation level. So you have to decide how you are going to perform, how you are going to learn a lot of new things. And I can assure you, as the Dean of the School, Royal School of Applied and Pure Science, as a member of the Royal Global University and senior member of the university, I can assure you that this will be your beautiful journey. You will enjoy every moment of this journey, this 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years of your journey. And we will be always here to guide you, to motivate you, and to be with you. Along with you, we will also be learning a lot of new things. So take this phase very seriously, because as I have said, you will be, you can break or make your life during these 3 years or 4 years or 5 years of life. So take it very seriously. You enjoy also. It's not that everything has to be very serious. You enjoy your life through these 3 years or 4 years of journey. You must learn many new things. You develop your skills so that you can be ready for the future. Okay. So children, I wish all of you a successful and very enjoyable 4 to 5 years of your journey. And I welcome all of you. And I welcome our eminent speaker for the day, Ms. Sanjukta Parashar. And I do not need to introduce her, because she has been well known by everyone. And she is a very coveted IPS officer. And we all are eagerly waiting to listen to you, ma'am. So I'm sure you will be giving a lot of insight, a lot of things to our, and to our children, these young children, these are undergraduates, these are very young mind, So I'm sure they will be motivated after listening to you. With this, I welcome all of you to this webinar and hope we'll have a very lot of new learning in this webinar. Thank you very much. Over to you, Indrajit.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your very enriching welcome address. Now, before I request to call upon our next speaker, let me have the honor to give a brief gist about her. Dr. Sanjuta Parashar, an IPS officer of 2006 batch, completed her graduation in political science from Indraprasth College, Delhi University, master's in from JNU in international relations, followed by a PhD in US foreign policy. As an IPS officer, she has held very important and sensitive positions in Assam and presently posted as DIG of the National Investigating Agency. Ma'am, once again, we are indeed honored to have you amongst us. And ma'am, over to you. Our participants and our children are waiting to hear from you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Shri Indrajit Datta and Madam Madam Anuradha, Professor Anuradha. Thank you very much for having me here, though I must also thank Mr. S.P. Singh for making sure that I am here today. At the outset, I would just like to correct you. I'm posted as Superintendent of Police here in National Investigation Agency in Delhi, not a DIG here. I'm a DIG in Assam, not here as yet. I mean, there are other things related to that. Thank you very much for having me here and giving me this opportunity to speak to all of your students. I know there is like 471 participants, which is quite scary. And I see there are like a few questions which have started coming, 2 of them. I'm not sure if it's a question or otherwise. No, it's not a question. Having said that I'm very glad to be here, I must say that this is a very unique opportunity for me to speak to so many students at the same time who are in their own respective places. This has been, hello, Professor Singh, how are you? This has been a very unprecedented year for everyone. And I think we are all trying to cope with our different mechanisms to overcome the problems that we have this year. More so for students and more so for young students and young adults who were looking forward to finishing school and starting with the college. I mean, whenever we go to college, you know, people would be more worried about what clothes they would wear, what motorcycle or car they're going to drive to school, what kind of phone they're going to have when they go to college. I mean, most youngsters have these kind of things in their mind. These are the major thoughts. But look at us today, you know, the whole world has turned topsy-turvy. I haven't even bought school uniform for my son because this whole year he's not gone to school. He's been at home. I mean, he wakes up and he goes from one room to the other to attend class. And I am guessing that's pretty much the same for everyone. It is also depressing because human beings are social animals, and more so because of the way we are like tuned to thinking that after you finish your school, this new group of friends will be there that you can make out of in a college. So now like everyone is unable to make a new batch of friends or to learn something further from different people. They will have to only chat with each other, look at each other's videos, and I'm not sure how enriching this is. I mean, even for me to be speaking to you over a video is a little, it's a mixed response. Like I know I'm speaking to a larger number of people than I could have maybe if it was physically possible, but still I feel that I can't see anyone. I cannot see people, you know, reacting to what I'm trying to say. So this is a bit strange. So the world has really changed. But having said that, welcome to Royal Global University, to all the students who have joined this session. I wish you the very best of luck. I'm sure you will do very well. But I must tell you that, of course, this is like a topic or a subject that you have chosen for your study right now. But you know, like the best part of being human is that you can change your mind. If not today, then tomorrow, day after, you can always change your mind because the environment is going to give you certain new input. You yourself will learn of your own capabilities and your you know, limitations. Maybe you want to change your line and you want to do something completely different. And you should never be scared of trying out something completely different. I studied humanities for 11 and 12. I was very sure from the beginning that I wanted to do political science, so I went ahead and studied that. Once I studied political science, I decided that international relations was more interesting, so then I shifted towards that specialization in political science itself. But then suddenly, there came a time in my life when I decided that I need to have a job for myself. I need to be financially independent. So therefore, when I decided to sit for the UPSC, I had to learn a completely new subject, which was psychology. And I found it interesting, and it was also scoring in terms of the UPSC exam. And after clearing the UPSC, because I had studied international relations and political science, my first choice was the Indian Foreign Service. But I did not make it to the Foreign Service. I ended up joining the Indian Police Service. It wasn't that it scared me, you know. What I did was I decided, okay, let me try something completely different. And then I joined the Indian Police Service. And once I saw the kind of work that we have to do, the kind of training that we had to undergo, I actually felt that I was perhaps in a much better place than I would have been if I was in the Foreign Service. So that's what I'm trying to say, that for all of us who are here, all the students, don't think that now that you have chosen management or you have chosen some other specific line, that this is all that you have to do and that you cannot change your course later on in life. Because I think we can all change our life goals and plans anytime when we want to. All you require is like a little bit of courage, because when you change your line, it'll be something completely new that you have to do, but it is something which is possible, which is in the realm of something completely doable. And
I use both in quality and in quantity.
sorry, you are muted.
Dear participants, we'll have the question answer session later after ma'am's deliberation.
Yes, yes, of course. Like, I think I will finish in another 10-15 minutes, so that people, whoever have like a million questions, can ask me, or like you can like, if you think you want to correct me, please go ahead and do that as well. I'm always game for something different. But there are certain things that we have to keep in mind, though. I mean, we have, once you have a goal, you should write your goal down and you should look at the pros and cons of that goal. And then there is something called a SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, this is something that most people do not do. But, once you have a goal, you should decide what are your strengths, how you can reach that goal, what are the weaknesses that you have, because that is where you'll have to work. Your opportunities would be how much time you require, basically, and how much capability development and change that you will require to reach your goal. And finally, threats would be your own limitations and your own psychological issues or even environmental things. So this is an analysis I think every human being needs to do. It doesn't have to be specific that, okay, I am going to be a doctor, so therefore to become a doctor I have to give the NEET exam, and then I have to get so much of a score to go into this medical college. It doesn't have to be so specific. Even if you have something small in mind, like, I want to be financially independent. So then keep that in mind. That should be your goal. And then you look at the strengths. For financial independence, I need so much education. I need this kind of a business opportunity, or I need to collaborate with someone else. And then you start building on what is required. This is something called dream setting. You imagine yourself in 5 years, 10 years, that this is what I want to be. And then you work towards that goal. It always helps to be realistic. You should be realistic, especially when it comes to your weaknesses. A lot of us think that, oh, I'm capable of doing everything. That's not true. There are lots of things which we cannot do. Like if you tell me that I need to run 100 meters in 11 seconds like Usain Bolt, I will not be able to do that. So that is not a goal that I want to look at in the future, isn't it? So therefore, this is how we have to like agree that these are things that I can do, these are things I cannot do. But at the same time, we should not limit ourselves. Like a lot of us think, oh, that exam is too tough. There is no way I can clear it. Oh, like that paper or that essay I cannot write. I mean, of course we can if you have that. So that is where like your capacity building comes into play. You decide that, okay, you need to have this much of education. So you go forward and then you work towards it, and you will definitely reach your goal where there is. There is, people ask me like, what are the things that you think you should keep in mind? So my the small what would you say, like a small mantra that I have is that patience, integrity, efficiency. These are the three golden rules of life. You know, people teach us golden words, thank you, sorry, and please. But I think more than that, you need to have these golden rules of life, which I consider most important, are patience, integrity, and efficiency. You have to be patient with the process. You know, your graduation will not finish tomorrow. Today is your first day. It will take you 3 years, 4 years, depending, or 5 semesters, 6 semesters. If you're slow, 8 semesters, whatever amount of time, but that is the process, right? It won't finish immediately. So believe in the process and go ahead with the process, flow with it. You need to have patience for the process to take care of things. But while the process is going on, you have to be efficient. Just because you have your semester going on, your exams are in December, you don't attend class right now in October, November, and you decide that in December you're going to come first in your class. That's not going to happen. Efficiency is if you attend your class properly, you take down your notes, you learn something extra which is required, and then sit for your exam in December. That's how it's going to work. And the last is integrity. That is basically honesty to your own self. You will have to agree that yes, these are my goals, which I have to do, but I have to do them honestly. There are shortcuts everywhere. Didn't you see, like recently, in the cases which has happened in Assam for the recruitment? That was a shortcut. I mean, and that was something that was completely without integrity. What has that led to anyone to? Like, would you like to cheat and go ahead? I don't think so, because if you do, if the basis of your very success is something which is not positive, which does not have integrity, then I am 100% sure that the end result that you're looking at, the fruit of your labor, will also be something which does not have much meaning, which would not have any integrity. Having said that, this is another thing that I tell everyone, and especially to the ladies: never do anything which makes you uncomfortable. We all have our instincts, we all have grown up with those, and you'll be very clear with what is there, which is available to you in the world, per se. So go with your instincts, do the right thing, and never shirk away from hard work, because the harder we work, the better we get. I mean, that is what I think it is. So I think I am sort of done saying what I had to say to all the students out here. I wish you the very best. I'm sure you will do very well. This is a new beginning. Whatever you have done in school, that was one, but now you are on your way to become proper adults with a degree, which can be used in the real world. You might go ahead and do further degrees, but whatever you do, this is your basis, this is your foundation. I wish you work very hard to make sure that the foundation is as strong as it can be. And I'm sure, like all the faculty at Royal Global University, will be able to give you a fantastic platform to strengthen your own core goals and your core capabilities. And therefore, I wish both of you the very best of luck, especially in this new situation where you have to study online. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the very inspiring and very enriching talk that we had. I'm sure our students, I've already seen in the chat box, a lot of questions have come in. But I would now request upon our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. S.P. Singh, sir, would you like to give your valuable insights? Sir, are you there? Yes, sir. Sir, you have to unmute, sir. Yes.
I'm so sorry, first of all, Sanjukta, for not joining you on time. I'm still in a second webinar, which is just behind me. And you can see that this international webinar is going on. So I'm so sorry for that. But I think, thank you so very much for joining us today and giving your insight to the students of Royal Global University. It is their second day of orientation, and very sure that they are going to learn a lot from you and be inspired by you. And I think your few words will make many careers and many people successful in life. So that was my objective of bringing you in here, and we are proud of you. And I'm very sure that my student will make us proud, including you proud. And one day they will say that, Madam Sanjuta Parashar, addressed us on the second day of orientation, and she motivated us to become successful in life. So I would say heartfelt thanks to you, Sanjukta, and I'm very sure my students will take it forward from here and will definitely be inspired by you and do good in life. So this is I wanted to say, and I will have to go to another webinar. I may be excused. Carry on, and you take questions as many as you can, Sanjukta. I would be very happy to listen from you. Thank you
I
so
will do
much.
that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Indrajit, over to you. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Ma'am, should we start with the questions, because we've got a lot of questions?
Yes, and I was thinking because I can see most of the questions here.
Fine, ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
I'll start off with this. I think,
Perfect.
can I just go ahead?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please.
Well, there is one which says, "Good afternoon, sir." So I'm thinking it's addressed to you. Birthday wishes for me. That's done and over with. Someone says they admire me. Okay, there's a question about what is your thought about online study? Uh, it's a very difficult thing to do an online study, because like we all have been in this whole system where we see the teacher, because it's not just verbal communication, we also look at a lot of non-verbal cues. And I can understand and imagine that it is very difficult for the young students. But this is something that we'll have to do not just this year, maybe even next year. And who knows, maybe like 10 years down the line, when you're, say, working somewhere and you want to do a course from some university abroad, this online study might be the only way to do it. So I think even if we don't like it, we'll have to embrace it. So this is my answer to that. What is the perfect time or age to prepare for the UPSC? Whenever you decide you want to give that exam, that is the perfect time and age to prepare. Never prepare just because your parents are saying that you should do it when you're in class 10 or 12. It's not like that. You should be convinced that you want to sit for the UPSC exam, and therefore then you should go ahead with it. Having said that, for UPSC, the minimum criteria is a graduation. So the best, if you're serious about sitting for UPSC, maybe the last semester when you're graduating, you should start preparing for that as well, so that you have a head start. How did I become an IPS officer? By giving the UPSC exam. Greatest strategy to pass the exam. Well, this was like one of those aha moments which I had. The preliminary exam has multiple choice questions. So you have to learn to understand that the question paper itself has all the answers. The multiple choices, right? The answer is there. The right answer is right there. You have to learn how to recognize it, isn't it? So you will have to have that much knowledge to only recognize that answer. But if it is a question paper which requires like a long answer for you, then you have to memorize and recall the answers. So this, I think, is an important strategy to learn what kind of questions you're going to get, so that you can prepare accordingly to put up your answers. What is the roadmap or mental setting required for UPSC exams? I think the roadmap is very clear. You should see the syllabus. First, choose the topic you want to study. Once you have the topic in mind, then you have to figure out how much do you know about it. Do you need further coaching in that subject or not? And then after that, depending on the syllabus, you have to get your books, you have to read, you have to study. And your mental setting should be of a person who is willing to run a marathon, because the exam is not 1 minute or a day. It is a 1 year long process. So you have to be cool enough to sit for that exam for that whole year. I think I've already, what type of efficiency we need in life? Like if you have to write, for example, if you have to write 500 words and you take 10 days to write it, that is inefficient. Let me just put it up right there. If your examination, your unit test or your assignment is due on Monday and you start on Sunday night at 1 o'clock, that is inefficient. So this is the kind of efficiency we need in life, to do the right thing at the right time and to the best of your abilities. When did I start my UPSC preparation? When I was doing my MPhil. I was already in the second year of my MPhil, because I wasn't very keen on sitting for the UPSC exam. So then I wanted to do that. Never expected an IPS officer to be so pretty. That's nothing to do with me. Those are my parents' genes. This one I have nothing to do with. What was my motivation? My motivation always, this is someone called Bhaswati Devi. My motivation always has been independence. Like no matter what I do, I've always wanted to be independent. So I realized that for me to be independent, I would have to have my own finances. So I had to have my own job. And I realized that being in the UPSC exam and clearing, say, a All India service was the best thing to do because you have a good job with a very good social standing. You yourself become a human being without having, say, the name of your father or someone else, to kind of drag you through. You could make your own path. So this is why. This was my motivation. How did you overcome the fear of death? I have not. I'm still scared. I don't want to die. I mean, but I know I will, but I don't want to die. Um, how much time did it take to crack the UPSC exam? I sat for it, nearly 2 years? Like I gave 2 attempts. So it's not a short process and each exam takes a year plus. So, it takes time. Strength, I think I've already answered this. What are the strengths required to qualify in UPSC prelims, mains, interviews? What is the mantra of not giving up when you fail to crack certain exams? Like every day the sun rises and then the sun sets in the evening, right? We are all going to live here in this world every day. And just because tomorrow is going to be pretty much the same day. I mean, we're only going to be older. It's not going to change. So even if you fail, there are still so many more avenues that you can look at. I mean, it's not just life is not unidirectional. Like it's not unidimensional. It's not unidirectional. Like if you don't make it somewhere, you can always make it somewhere else. So not to give up, I think, is your own mental strength. When you realize that you have to wake up tomorrow morning and you have to give it another good try. So that is something which is important, I guess. What is success to me? Success is something that gives you happiness. End of the day, when you can go home and sleep peacefully and comfortably, that is successful. Success is also when your next generation, like for me, if my son asks me tomorrow that, okay, you did this was your decision, why did you take it? And I'm able to answer him honestly. I'm able to give him my reasons, which I had in my own head while doing that. That is also success. And success is something in which people around me are also comfortable and happy and satisfied. That is successful as well. Sometimes you want to do different things in life, but your parents want you to do a different thing. Yeah, that happens. So my mother is a doctor, my dad's an engineer. So none of them were very happy when I said I wanted to study humanities. So I went through that myself. But then this is something that I was convinced of. So I sat them down. I told them that this is something that I want to really do. So you have to give me a chance because, it's my life and I would like to make my own mistakes. I don't want to live their lives or fulfill their dreams. So this is something that worked. But to a large extent, I realize also that our parents have the best interests in mind. And since they are older, they know a little more. So we should give them a chance and we should listen to what they have to say and then analyze if what they are trying to say is something that we just absolutely cannot do. That is something that you can think of. How did I like it after studying psychology? It was interesting. It's a very interesting subject. Bachelor of Arts in Administrative Service, I have no clue about that. I'm sorry. What is the biggest factor that helps me to be successful? The fact that I have to answer to my own conscience. That is like a huge factor that I have. End of the day today, I would like to achieve something before I finish and go to sleep. So that is one thing. If you want to study for UPSC along with your undergraduate program, that is also possible. you should look at your the question papers which are there for the last 8-10 years, then look for some more study material, get that, and keep reading. But I must tell you that it's not a short process. You also have to be minimum 20 years of age, and you have to have a graduation degree. So you have time if you want to like start preparing while you're doing your undergraduate itself. But my suggestion would always be that do not neglect your undergraduate program, because in case you don't clear the UPSC exam, this degree should also be in a good position to take you somewhere in life. Do you need to be very good in maths? No, but you need to know some amount of maths to clear the UPSC. Can I do an MBA even if I'm a BA English student? I think Mr. Indrajit Datta or Professor Anuradha will be the right person to answer that question. How can one know that the things we are doing are good or not? People have different perception of what is righteous or not. See, I mean, this is one of those questions that come to us after we are children and we become adults. You know, life is not black and white, that you have so many shades of gray in between. So what we are doing, whether it is good or not, I think there's a simple test, right? There's one that you check your action, has it harmed anyone? You look at that. And the second is that you should see that is it for your own personal good or for the greater good of the community. And thirdly, maybe you can always check whether after doing this, are you ashamed of that act or not? And if you can answer these three questions honestly, then you can realize whether what you have done is good or not, is whatever. Was it easy for me to follow your mind and not being conventional? There's nothing unconventional about being in the police. Policing is one of those, simple functions of all societies which has existed forever. I don't know why people think that it's very unconventional for a woman to be in the police. And there's so many women in the police all over the world. Book list for UPSC. Well, you'll have to join a coaching or like look at it online. I don't think I can give you a book list now because I gave my exam like 16 years ago. My optional papers were psychology and political science. Is there pressure being a working woman? Yes, of course, there is pressure when you're working. There are like deadlines and work pressures. If you're asking about undue pressure, not so much. I mean, very early on in your life, if you can in your career set your reputation, then even other people leave you. If they know that you're going to do the right thing and uphold the rule of law, then those are the kinds of people who will come to you and ask you to do things for that. Core subjects needed for Indian Forest Service. Please check the syllabus. I think upsc.gov.in is the website, and they, I think, have the syllabus there. I see that a lot of you are really serious about joining UPSC. So I would suggest that you please go to that website and look at the syllabus and start preparing for it whenever you have the time, whenever you are serious about it. What if we fail at the UPSC exam? Hopefully you will have your graduate degree and you will be able to enroll yourself in another university and do your master's. And if you still like, if there's something else that you want to do, maybe some of you will have a brilliant and bright idea, like Zomato, Airbnb, and you guys will be successful there as well. Or maybe you guys will be entrepreneurs. You will start up with your own businesses, your things at back home. So hopefully that's what you will do if you don't clear the UPSC exam.
Ma'am, I have a question. Can
Yes,
I
please.
ask you one? There's a question that came in my cell phone. Ma'am, how do you manage work-life balance?
Very badly. It's not, there's no perfection to that, So there are the days when your child is unwell, there are requirements at home, then you try and prioritize that. And there are times when you have to give priority to the work. But more often than not, work comes first and then it's then it's home. Usually it's like that because in terms of government service, work is not something which is personal. It affects the lives and liberties and properties of so many other individuals in the society. It involves the community as well. So therefore, we try to give that much more of a priority, and then your own personal life comes up a bit later.
Another question that's come up. We have a good ratio of girl students in our university. Yeah, we have a very good ratio, but the present situation, of a lot of things happening in and around in our country and abroad, the girls are not feeling very safe at the moment. What's your comments on women's empowerment?
My only answer to that question, whenever people talk to me about women's empowerment, my answer is two words: men's education. I'm okay with everyone trying to empower women. I'm okay with people trying to teach women how to do self-defense. But I think the only answer is education for men, that sensitize men and make them responsible and responsive. Because ultimately, if crimes against women are being perpetrated, who are doing it? We should be, I think, focusing more on that demographic rather than like telling the women, oh, you should be stronger, you should do this, you should have your thing in the phone, your phone should have a panic button. Yeah, sure, all of that is fine. But when are we going to address the fact that men have to be educated, they have to be recalibrated, they have to learn to think differently? I mean, that is where I think we should be laying more emphasis. I mean, that's generally my perception. Having said that, I mean, most women will have to take precautions, but I think I'm hoping that a university like yours, and of course now it is online, but once it is like back in the normal mode, you will be able to provide a more safe and secure environment for the ladies. Uh, but I must at this point of time still say that a lot of women, young women especially, do not understand cybersecurity, and they do not understand, you know, secure systems of carrying on with their daily lives. So maybe there, like, the women should be aware of that. Like, do not share your phone numbers with whoever you want to. Um, Try like to limit how and when you speak to people online, unless you know them personally and physically. So there are all these little precautions that you also have to take. But I think as a university, you should focus more on sensitization of the male population that you have in your university. I think that will also go a long distance. And for women as mothers, when you have your own children, you should try and sensitize your children, your sons especially, towards that.
Great, ma'am. Ma'am, we have seen a lot of pictures of you with an AK-47 and a bulletproof jacket going on missions. And would you like to share anything? And a lot of our girls are, especially girls and boys, they're very inspired with that photograph because a lot of movies are also on. Would you like to just share any kind of incident?
Uh, like, I think work is what it is. Police's work in Assam includes insurgency, but that's only 5% of what we do. More than that, the work that we have to do is maintenance of law and order, investigation of crimes, and also traffic management. So yeah, I think that picture has been sort of glamorized because there's a girl behind it. But I think that's what all police officers do, whether men or women. So that is something that we have to look at. I mean,
There was a question on, ma'am, how was your experience during your IPS police training? Was it tough?
yeah, it was quite tough, but it was also interesting at the same time. I always like doing outdoor activities. So as soon as I reached there and there was horse riding and swimming, I was just excited. I was just like I thought I was finally in the right place. So it depends on what you're interested in doing. So if you're interested in something like this, this is a great job that way.
I have another question that comes in. It has been seen that most of the people who crack the UPSC exams from the Northeast are going to JNU or Delhi to doing their conventional studies and doing coaching. Is that the success mantra?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Though, of course, a lot of us have actually studied in Delhi University and JNU. I have studied in both. But there are quite a few students who have cleared the exam by studying in Assam itself. But you must understand, I think in the 90s, especially in the late 90s, because of the events in Assam in the 1980s, our education system did take a hit. And I think the present government is trying very hard to reverse that. But there is still a little gap which is there. And Delhi, of course, provides better opportunities for students. That is probably the reason why most students like to come here than study in Assam before going for UPSC.
I have another question which has come up. It says, did you take coaching for your UPSC?
Yes, I did.
I mean,
I
is it
never studied psychology before. For me, it was a new subject entirely.
okay?
But yes, I did.
And what is the minimum cost required for coaching practices now?
I wouldn't know what's the cost right now, but it's not prohibitive. But I'm also aware that the government of Assam, I believe, gives a grant. If you have cleared your prelims and you're going to sit for your mains, I think there is a particular grant which is available to you. And I think other governments are also doing the same.
Okay, great. Uh, Let me just go through the chat box. I just want to check that nobody's missed out, because we don't know we'll get this kind of an opportunity again.
But there
Indrajit,
is a question about how to control anxiety during competitive exams.
Yes.
Don't take yourself too seriously and don't take life also so very seriously. I mean, then you don't have to be so anxious. You just take it how it comes. I mean, it's not so tough. And especially, I think a lot of people feel very anxious before they go for the interview. Always remember this simple thing: the other person is also human. He's not a cannibal. He can't eat you up. So just go and talk and just be normal. You only have to talk. There are like suddenly like too many questions, and I'm like trying to see which one to answer and which one not to answer.
DC sir, you have a question? You wanted to ask something?
no, Indrajit, I just wanted to add on something, and I think she has given
Please
the
do,
answer.
please do. No, I'm sure.
I was just telling that there are, these social welfare department of government of India and others. They have many schemes in each and every state for, minority coaching institutions and others. They are free of cost coaching available to children. So, I mean, you can find out on the website of ministry and can find out wherever the coachings are being run. So I just wanted to add that at point of time.
Ma'am, there's another question that's come up. It's saying, uh, is there any dropout during IPS training?
Yes, yes, there are dropouts. Uh, there was a candidate with us who joined. I mean, there are dropouts in two ways. There are people who drop up, and then there are people who drop sideways. Like I don't think anybody. And then there is someone. Sometimes people also drop out. So there was one person in our batch who left the government service altogether, and he joined the judiciary. I think he became a lawyer in one of the courts, and then I think he's further been like following that as a career path. There was one officer who joined us in the two officers, yeah, like the wife was in the Indian Police Service, the husband was in Postal Service. They both left the government service and they have opened their own coaching institute now, and they are very successful in the South. Then there is one officer who joined us in the Indian Police Service but decided that she would go back to her revenue service because she thought that was a better career choice for her. So she went ahead and did that. And then there were about 8-10 people who sat for the UPSC again, and then they cleared and they joined the Indian Administrative Service. Somebody went into the Foreign Service. So this happens. It's not like the end of the world because you can keep giving your exam until you are 30 years of age or the number of attempts that you have. So that is one of those things.
Ma'am, we've also seen that some people scoring very high rank in the UPSC exams. I mean, they qualify for IAS, but then they opt for IPS and other allied services. Is it true, ma'am?
So it's not like that. Once you sit for your exam, before you clear it, you have to give a ranking of which service you want first and what is second. What's your first, second, third, fourth preference? So then depending on your preference and depending on the vacancy, you will then get into the service. So this is one of those things.
I also have another question. Ma'am, you're so qualified, you're a PhD. Did you ever think about becoming a teacher?
Yes, I did. I mean, that was why I was doing my PhD. That was my initial goal in life. I wanted to be in academics. But yeah, apparently I had to leave the pen for a stick. So here I am. But hopefully getting back to the pen again because I'm much older now. So
Now in the digital world, we are going to employ you for 1 day a month or maybe 2 days in a month to take lectures. We'll not leave you.
we'll do that once a month, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got some WhatsApp messages from some of my colleagues at the Royal Global University.
Please.
Sorry, I've got some messages from the from my colleagues in the Royal Global University. They're saying, "Ma'am, how do you keep so fit?"
Oh, so this is something like ever since I was a kid, I used to be swimming quite a bit. But after joining the service, I decided that I should do something more seriously. And especially when I was in Jorhat, I decided that I should take up running. So now I run every day. And these days, because and I run and swim both. But these days, because of the lockdown and everything, we can't really go swimming. Pools are shut. So me and a colleague of mine who lives with close to where I live here in Delhi, we both walk about, I think about 12 or 13, 14 kilometers every day. We split it like in the morning, we do about 7 in the morning, 7 in the evening. We just keep walking. That's about it. And it's one of those things, it's cathartic. Walking allows you to have time to think. You can see the world, there's fresh air, there's sunlight. I mean, it's fun. It's quite interesting. And if you can walk with a friend, nothing more like it. She and I think, have talked the most in this whole time, and we are still not bored of each other. So I think this is one of those good things to do.
I've got another question in the chat box. It says, "Ma'am, at what age did you get into IPS?"
Oh, I was 26 years old.
Okay. And there's also a question that comes in, ma'am. It's bombarding with questions. I believe you went to army school in Guwahati. Is that
Yes,
correct?
I was in Holy Child School till class 10, and then I was in Army School till class 12. So anybody who's there from my old school, hello to both of you, like people from both the schools.
Ma'am, when are you planning your next posting in Assam?
I'm not planning anything as yet. It'll depend on the government.
Okay.
But yes, I haven't finished my deputation period here in Delhi as yet. I would like to complete that. And this has been a very nice and enriching experience for me. So it'll depend.
I think I'll take the last question. There's a question, very interesting question, which has come up. Is that I think, ma'am, I have done some research. You are the number 3 Assamese IPS officer. Is that correct?
No. There are like so many male IPS officers.
No, female.
Female, I think I'm the second one. The first
Second.
one is Duty Rani Dole Burman Madam.
In Nepal, she's
Ma'am
posted.
is from Jammu and Kashmir cadre. Ma'am was, I think, 86 batch. Ma'am is fairly senior. And after that, there is me. But now there are so many other ladies who have joined the Indian Police Service, and they're posted in Assam and elsewhere as well. But there's one other question which I thought I should answer. Like, did you ever face sexism? How to cope with it? And this is from your students.
Yes.
So, like about sexism, this is something. I mean, it's a very touchy subject, and people don't really know how to answer and address. One is that if you're a woman who feels that other people are behaving with you in a certain way because of your gender, then perhaps you are already right about it. Because we ultimately we operate at a level of instincts when you can't really like verbalize what you have to say. But I'm sure your university has a committee which looks at gender sensitivity. You must report it, but at the same time, sexism cannot be the excuse for everything. Like it's a fact of life that we are women. It's a historical fact that other people are men. It's also a fact that men have more avenues and they control much more of the economy and so many more other positions in life. This is how the world has been because there are generally, like even in the police, the number of men is more than the number of women. So if I need to find a mentor, it's quite likely that my mentor or someone who teaches me, helps me, would generally be a man and not necessarily always a woman. And this is not something that I should be wary of. This is something that I should accept and understand that yes, this is a fact which is there in our lives. But I will not stand for discrimination against me just because I am a woman. I would prefer to do my things equally, but not just in one aspect, but for everything. I would like to develop my own capabilities. I would like to have my education level in the correct way as it is for everyone else and not have discrimination both ways. I don't want protective discrimination either. So this is something that we have to be clear about. I don't want, an extra or additional mollycoddling just because I am female. But at the same time, I want to be given equal opportunities to fight it out. And if there is a gap because I have missed out on something by being a female before, I would rather there was a mechanism for an extra capacity building in that avenue. If you know what I mean. But this is, I think, something which will bring both men and women at par. And sexism ultimately is how we teach our men to accept equality and how we teach our women also to accept equality. I think that is where we will be able to put that to an end. Thanks.
Sir, I would request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, because we missed him in the introductory remarks. So can we have some inputs from you, sir?
No, perfectly fine. I think I also appeared for civil services many a times, could not make it. I am so happy I could not do so. So I say something, and I wanted to be a teacher, and I thankfully God is kind that He allowed me to remain as a teacher. And Sanjukta, also I would wish that you also should join teaching profession as soon as you get chance. And this is a wonderful profession, I would say that. And the student, there's a great requirement of right kind of teachers, right kind of officers, right kind of ethically and intellectually sound people in this world and in each and every profession. So I think I was just listening to each and every question, the way you have taken, Sanjukta. It was really, I would say, the best possible answer and the more crisp answer as a police officer what can be given, because many times we extend answers too much and then it doesn't deliver what it is expected to deliver. So your answers were perfect, and I think students have I was going through the chat box, they have, many of them have become your fan, and I would request them to remain fan till the time they become like you or better than you. So this is my blessing to each and every child, and please keep in touch and keep blessing these children and their future of our nation, their future of Northeast. And we have all equal responsibility to groom them, to inspire them, and to make them successful. So this is Indrajit all, not my topic today. I will not speak further. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. I would just like to address the participants. This is only the second day of the orientation for the UG 2020. And we'll have many more sessions. We have great eminent speakers lined up. We had a perfect session today. Ma'am, you were so inspirational. Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming and taking out for your valuable time. And we would love to have you in our campus, and so that, we could interact with you, and because people would like to see you. Seeing you would be believing. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Dear participants, thank you so much for all the questions, and we will look forward for your attendance in the other sessions also. Ma'am, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Ms. Parasar. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjukta. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Singh.
Yeah.